Welcome, everyone. This is episode 142 of the Sit Down podcast, and I am of Candor.
The Sit Down podcast is brought to you by Funky Moose Records. We sell new and used vinyl records, inner and outer sleeves, cleaning supplies, turntables, speakers, but we also support some of the artists that we've had on this show by helping them sell their merchandise. So check out funkymooserecords.ca, head over to the merch section, and pick a t-shirt or two. If you use the discount code SITDOWN10, you'll get 10% off your entire order. That is funkymooserecords.ca and SITDOWN10 for 10% off.
Thank you and welcome to Mark's basement here.
Wayne's World.
Yeah, Wayne's World. For those of you watching or listening out there, Of Candor was suggested to us by our dear friend Miss Justine Giles out there in Alberta.
I was going to ask you how this came about.
That's how it is. So I listened to her music on Spotify and YouTube, and I thought it was very calming and soothing. Yeah. So I hit her up and asked her if she wanted to come and hang out with us this week so we can get to know you a little bit better. So thank you again and welcome to the show.
Yeah, what he
said.
Thank
you for having me.
You betcha. So I guess to jump right into it, I have to ask you, how do you and Justine know each other?
That's a great question. So Justine and I have to say met in quotations here. We met last summer during an Alberta music songwriting camp. So it was all held virtually. So to this day, I actually haven't met Justine in person, but we really clicked. We got to write a song together in a group online, and it was super fun. And we've just been chatting ever since. We have a lot of similarities and similar writing styles and stuff too. So we've just kind of, maintained this friendship. She's not actually even that far from me. I'm in Edmonton. She's now in Calgary. I know she was in Ontario before. So we're super close. Every time I happen to go through the city, we just seem to miss each other. So we've got this like long distance friendship going, and hopefully one day we'll actually meet. But it's been fun.
No
just
doubt.
Just watch. You guys will meet in Saskatchewan or something.
Yeah, we'll get you guys both out here to do a show.
Yeah.
I want to say that I've known Justine, I want to say like 2 years since we've had her on the show, basically, and I still have not met her in person neither. So you are not alone in that. She is, she's like a dream, that woman. She's out there, but
mysterious.
Very mysterious. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Is she in Calgary though? Nobody knows.
Yeah. Is she real? Is she even a real person?
Justine, do you exist?
We can't confirm or deny.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. So the song that you guys were able to write together, is that a song that's released, or what song would that be?
So that song, forgive me, I'm forgetting the name of it. It was a super fun process. We got to work with another artist as well as a mentor from Alberta Music, so it was super fun. It's not really a song that's quite at the stage of release. We haven't taken it further since then, but we've definitely talked about it. So, it's definitely in the realm of possibility that it's something that would be released later. But Justine and I have been meaning to also sit down and do some writing one-on-one and see what we come up with. She's had some awesome releases in the past year too. So, yeah.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So you're part of Alberta Music, like we have Sask Music here. And they just put on those workshops type of thing, and you join, and then you just meet all these great other musicians.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. They're awesome. They're really great with connecting artists, especially through the pandemic, because I think at the time things are still currently kind of weird too. But it was really a nice connector to be able to meet with some other artists across the province too. It kind of broke down those barriers to be able to write, I guess, like you guys are doing on your show, where you can meet with people online from faraway places. So yeah, that's kind of the first workshop thing that I've done with Alberta Music like that, and it was awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, good stuff comes out of there, I think.
I think well, even when Sask Music does it too, I think good
Yep.
things come out of it. All right, so let's take a few steps back here, and I want to know a little bit deeper of like your, let's quote unquote, your origin story. So like how old were you when you started like writing and performing music?
So writing and performing, that kind of started, I mean, there was always this desire to do it, but I'll give you even, I'll go back a little further even. I was the shyest kid you would ever meet. So I was the kind of kid that my older sister, like I would just kind of follow her around and what do you want for dinner, Brooke? Like, oh, I would ask, what does my sister want? I'll just do whatever everybody else is doing. And I would hide behind my mom or that kind of thing. And so super shy. And then I've just always had this kind of spark inside me that wanted to do music and wanted to perform and be in front of people and connect that way. So it was super surprising, I think, to my parents when I decided, hey, I really want to take vocal lessons. So I started taking those around, I think I would have been 13, 14. I almost missed the first one because I was just so nervous to be in front
Really?
of somebody and singing. Yeah. I was like, maybe this just isn't for me. I should just go home. And and then luckily I didn't because it was amazing. I had such a great teacher growing up. And then started performing. I think 15 was the first time I performed. It was at a school talent show in our gym in middle school. And I had actually written this song. I think I'd finished it a few weeks before, and it was my first song I'd ever written, and got up there. And yeah, my mom was super like, what are you doing? This is not you. But yeah, I've got, I guess, these kind of two parallel sides of me that are just really different. But I just love that connection so much. So pretty much since then.
Oh my God. Can
Cool.
may I ask, how old are you now?
Yeah, feel free. I'm heading towards 30, a couple years away.
Okay, so you've been doing it for about 15 years now.
Yeah, yep.
Oh,
Hard to
wow.
believe.
So what was the first song that you like got recorded and actually released out there properly for like the world? Not just like uploading to YouTube or nothing, but like legitimately created and did it right.
Yeah, that would be my EP, Heart in Many Places. So that one was a four-song EP, and the first song that I wrote from that would have been the song Don't Let Me Down. So that was released in 2016 in April, a four-song EP.
Oh my God. Can you walk us through that process a little bit? I'm sure there was a lot of like nervousness and anxiety going into the studio and doing all of that. How was it for you?
Yeah, 100%, like exactly what you just said. So I kind of like, I'd wanted to record for a couple years. I had finished a music program in school and was kind of still trying to figure out like, how do you do music as a career? How do you book shows and how do you get your music out there in a way that, not only is like how you feel that it should be presented, but also in a way that you feel like is up to the standards of what people expect to hear and all of that. So there was just a lot of nerves for sure, even just about finding like the right recording engineer and the right producer and the right band to back you up. That for me, it comes down to always finding people that you connect with and that you feel like at home with. And that can be hard to do when you're like, meeting new people and trying to build this rapport and just finding those, I don't know, the right people that kind of get you, I guess. And so that was probably the hardest part. And then we got rehearsing, super fun. And the songs, like, I think just as somebody who writes typically on my own, like I'll write in my room and I'll be recording just like an acoustic version of it or a piano version of it. And then to take that and bring it to other players and then just to see it turn into something, I don't want to say completely different, but like so much bigger than you could have imagined was so cool. And I think from that moment, that really started to build some confidence with it. So going into the studio was so much easier, just feeling like they had my back, they knew what we were doing, and we had just a plan that was exactly what I wanted. And so, yeah, it was really interesting to kind of take the plunge and to say, okay, I've got these four songs and they're the ones, because that can be a hard process to figure out what exactly you want to put out there. And the first release, I think I would argue, is the hardest because you're like, okay, this is gonna be who I am, and it's
Yeah.
a starting place, but it's so exciting and nerve-wracking all at once.
No doubt. I could only imagine. I like Mark and I, we aren't musicians or artists or anything, so we're not we're not doing that, but I mean, we get to talk to you guys every week, and there's so many similarities in what you guys tell us. Like, it's just, it almost feels redundant a little bit asking some of the questions, like, how do you do it? And how does this make you feel? Because everybody's answer is generally the same thing. So I kind of already know the answer going into it, but
the details are usually a little different, but in general.
Yeah, every now and again there's a little curveball, and it's like, oh, I never heard it from that point of view before. But no, that definitely makes sense.
So when you have those 4 songs, are they ready in your head? Like, okay, this is what it is, or do you go into it like, okay, I have most of it done. Now I just need the other musicians to come in and finish it with me?
I think it's a bit of both. Like, there was a couple songs on there that I thought, yes, okay, this is the final version. This is how we're going to do it. And there's a couple where I was like, I don't know if these are really ready. And it was interesting to kind of bring those in and to see how they changed, because at the end of the day, they all changed a bit. Even the ones that I was like, yep, we're not even going to touch this. We're just going to, replicate this and make it, a nice solid recording. And some of those, change the most. So it's a process, and I think you just have to trust the people you're working with the most.
Yeah, I would agree on that too. Is you need a lot of trust going in there, because like it's your creation, it's your baby. Yeah.
And then also, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, it's because you're old, dude.
No, my head is still foggy.
Oh. Another question I have at the top of my head is
keep going.
You remember? Out of the songs that you have released, like on the EP, for example, is there one song that you have out there that you hold like closest to your heart, near and dear to your heart? Like, if you could choose one of them, which one's your favorite?
That's a good question. I mean, it changes in some ways. Like, if I were to say maybe my favorite, I think my favorite is the one that I just released, which is Nothing to Hide. That one, interestingly enough, is the first song I ever wrote. So that one that I performed when I was 15, that's a little tidbit I haven't really shared before. It's transformed a lot since then, but it's the first song I wrote, and it actually, the way that the producer, Brendan Lyons, who I got to work with, and Daniel Belland, they both co-produced this, the way that they took this and ran with it and just like knew the vision that I had for it and where I wanted it to go was just so special. So I think in a lot of ways I hold this song really near to my heart, but then also Heart in Many Places. That was the song that I wrote and finally was like, yes, I'm going to put together this EP and I'm going to put this out into the world. And it was such a crossroads in my life at that time that I just felt like, I feel like that one's always going to be really special to me. So I kind of cheated. I gave you 2.
Yeah, that's totally okay. We actually have that video, do we not?
We do.
I believe so. Yep. Do you mind if can we drop that in here right now for the listeners and viewers?
Absolutely.
All right, here you guys go with Nothing to Hide.
Where do I go from here? Every step forward is all clear. Think it's a right and then it's a left. You get near but disappear. Remember me
my question before I forget again. So when you write these songs, you said it's a combination of, what you have in your head, but also what you think people want to hear. So, for example, those 4 songs on the EP, how much, let's say, I mean, percentage-wise sounds stupid, but let's say percentage-wise, how much of that is, I think this is what people want to hear?
I think at the end of the day, I try to drop that at the door when I go to sit down to write. So, as much as it's an anxiety beforehand and before the process, that's something that I just cannot hold in my head when I'm writing. And I just don't think I have the multitasking ability to think about that. And I think it's one of those things that can come up after too. When you've recorded it and you listen to these songs over and over and over again as you're kind of making these final changes, whether it's like requesting changes to the mix, or if you're thinking, oh, I wish I would have tweaked that line, or just even how I sang that one part a little bit. I think sometimes we can really get in our head a lot, which is a lot of what I write about actually, and we can really start to doubt what we want to do and where we want to go with it. And I think sometimes there's this overthinking process that comes in, but I try when I'm being creative and when I'm actually working on this stuff. I'm not perfect. These things still come into my mind a lot, but I try to really think about what I'm trying to put out there instead of necessarily what I think people want to hear.
Right.
I've been told a few times that like, oh, you have such an interesting sound. And I'm like, I've decided to take that as a compliment because I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it needs to be you. And I feel like with every release, even though we grow and we change at the time and in a lot of ways still, they feel true to who I am. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And who when people say you have an interesting sound, do they tell you I compare you to? Like you sound like?
Oh, I've got some funny ones actually.
Wait.
Told
I'm
me.
gonna pause you right there. So before she says what she normally hears on that question,
yeah.
I want to ask you, if you had to compare her to somebody, who would you compare her to?
Well, actually, so this is kind of why I brought it up, because I was like, I hear some Colby Kaye in there. And then I read her website and I was like, wait a minute, she wrote about this. So
very good.
Right.
All right, now I want to hear what the normal go-tos are.
Yeah, well, now I want to ask you, do you hear anybody when you heard my stuff?
I am very scared that I would be a little biased on my answer. But,
Biased.
well, it's like a factor of things going on in my head. When I was listening to you, like in my head, I'm like, oh, she's a referral from Justine. They know each other. They work together. So the whole time I'm listening to you, I'm like comparing you to Justine. And I'm like, I get that vibe, that feeling. The feeling I get when I listen to Justine is very similar to what I got when I was listening to you. It's just, it's soothing. It was, for me, it was soothing. It was relaxing. It was like, I live a pretty wild and chaotic life. Like I'm always on the go, and even my train of thought is like I've got multiple thoughts at the same time. Like I'm all over the place, right? Like I should be on medication. I probably should be on medication. But when I was listening to you, as when I listened to Justine and stuff, it was just, it's that, 30, 40 minutes of, I don't want to say zen, but it's very calming. And I can just sit there and be in the moment and listen. So it's like, for me to do that when I'm listening to you, it's very therapeutic and helpful. And it's, I need that in my life every now and again. Yeah, I just need Candor.
There you go.
On the stereo. So that's coming back. So short answer to that, I was doing a lot of comparisons to Justine when I was listening to you. So
Candor is now a therapist.
Love it. Well, that just made me feel really good. So thank you. And I'm a big fan of Justine. So that makes me feel happy. And I agree, like with her stuff, listening to just her voice and the calmness. Oh, could just wash over you. But to get back to your question, yeah, I've heard all sorts of things from all kinds of people. So everybody hears things differently, which I actually just love about music, like you connect it that way to what you know. So I've heard from someone, I heard Jewel, which was really interesting.
Oh, okay.
I heard Sarah McLachlan, which I took as a very nice compliment. And I'm trying to think of who else. I've gotten Colby Kaye before. I think Phoebe Bridgers once or twice. So, I mean, I love hearing these things and how people hear things. I don't, I'm trying to think, I'm probably going to bite my tongue on this, but I feel like there's not a lot of artists you could say that I would be like offended that you thought I
Right.
sound
Well,
like or something.
that was going to be my next question. Has there ever been one that you heard and you were like, "What the hell? Like, how is that even
Sarah McLachlan,
possible?"
how dare you?
Yeah.
I mean, the Jewel one was weird. Honestly, I definitely
Yeah.
was like, I don't hear that, and it's something my partner jokes about with me all the time. He's like, "But you sound so much like Jewel." So we joke about that a little bit, but nothing too much.
There you go. That's what we should title this one.
Jewel. We have Jewel on the show.
We have Jewel on the show.
We should have her on the show. No, she's
Awesome.
not Canadian.
Awesome. So, okay, the video that we played for the audience here, can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, where did you just do that, at home in Alberta?
Yeah, so that project started, I guess in like May this year. I worked with a really great friend. Her name's Bailey Sutton. She's got a videography company, and she's somebody I'm so comfortable with. We're going to come back to this theme of I only work with people that make me feel really at home. She's one of those people, and she's done some of my live video recordings in the past, and we just decided to kind of work together on this video because I had this concept in my mind of, I wanted to kind of portray the backstory behind the song in a visual way. And I've never really done that before. So it was like a big learning process to think of like, not only to come up with ideas of what you want to happen in the video, but then you also have to like be able to translate that to somebody who is a professional in that, to be able to tell Bailey, like, I'm kind of picturing this. And I think she did a wonderful job of pulling together the like randomness of what I had brought to her. And essentially it was just this idea of like the light and dark. And so contrasting those parts of yourself that you might hide away, that you don't want other people to see. And I think that those are the things that make us beautiful and that make us who we are and make us be able to celebrate some of those really, I guess, lighter or happier moments, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I brought it to her and said, like, I wanted this concept of there being like multiple versions of myself. And so in that, I ended up going shopping. And I don't shop a lot for like music things. I tend to just buy things, on the fly of like, oh, that would be great for shows or that kind of thing. But with this, I went a little bit wild. I was like, I can return it. So I ended up with like 7 or 8 different outfits of like these really brightly colored or really, really darkly colored items and brought it all to Bailey, and she just somehow was able to put it together in a cohesive way that wasn't like just a fashion show, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of what we did, and we stuck around Edmonton. We did a lot of driving, like to some random places. Like she knew this. I don't honestly, if you asked me to take you to the places from it, I don't even think I could anymore.
Right.
Because she's like, oh, I just know this place. And we drove to it and it felt like we were like, in the country or like in the bush. And she found like this spot by the river, which was beautiful. And I was a little bit afraid of bears because there's no one around. So it was really fun. So all kind of around Edmonton. And yeah, some of them more public than others. That was kind of fun dancing around in front of people, but
Nice.
We made it work.
Frickin'
And then
right.
you return the clothes.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did you end up returning them? I bet you still have them all.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I still have them all.
Did you seriously return some?
There was one item that may have been returned.
Oh my God! You probably increased the value of that outfit by like
You put it on eBay.
Yeah, as worn by Candor and nothing to hide.
Worn in the video shoot. Bought it for $50. Now it's $250.
Yeah, you should have just sold it back to the merchant for triple.
My
what you
sweat
paid
is
for.
on here now.
I wore this in my video I just shot last week.
You're welcome.
Hell yeah. So how long did it take to shoot that video? What was the course of the shoot?
Bailey gave me a lot of her time. We ended up going out, I think, 3 separate times. One of them, it started raining halfway through. So we took a quick pit stop for burritos, which Probably, like in hindsight, not the best idea in the middle of a video shoot. Somehow didn't spill anything on myself. But yeah, that was risky for sure. And yeah, so probably 3 days, but I'm talking like she gave me at least 6 to 8 hours each time because we were really exploring,
Right.
figuring out what we wanted to do and finding the shots. So yeah, it was intense.
So how many times did you have to listen to your song over and over in those 3 days?
And are you sick of it now?
I only wish I could have like streamed them so that I could actually see.
Get the count up. Brilliant. That's a
But
good idea. That's
I
a
know,
really
right?
good idea.
Yeah, so next time maybe I'll wait till the song's released to film the video, but no, but many, many times. Like I want to say within the video shoot, for sure at least 100 times. And
Right.
the funniest part, I will tell you that I don't know, maybe you know a lot about music videos, but I didn't know that like in order to film slow motion parts, you actually have to speed up the audio.
Yeah.
And so that it actually lines up and looks normal. But I
Yeah.
will tell you that it does not feel normal when you're doing it. Because first of all, your voice is like 3 octaves higher and you're singing along with it. And I can still hear it in my head of like the sped up version, and it's haunting and not in a good way.
That's freaking perfect.
Oh, did you see Dylan's video today?
I did not.
Oh, he posted a video of one of his songs, which is a slow ballad, and he sped it up like 4 or 5 times, and he sounds like a chipmunk. It's awesome. You should watch it on Instagram.
I will check it out. I definitely will. Shit, I did have another question about music videos. Oh, I was gonna, yeah, the question was, okay, so because you had to play that song like over 100 times for the video shoot, which is a normal thing for any of you out there who are shooting music videos, you basically got the song playing in the background and you're like lip singing over it, right? And then you cut it together after. But did that affect your I guess love or respect for the song or ability to perform that song? Like Mark said, did it make you kind of like sick of it? So now that you had to endure it over 100 times in 3 days, fast forward 2-3 weeks to when you're playing a show and you're like, this song again, does that ever happen?
For sure it happens. Yeah, like I would say that with this project of all of them, I probably had to listen to the song more than any other of my recordings because of the video part. But oddly enough, this one, I just felt like we'd come to a point where we'd made something that felt so me that I was actually like quite proud of, which
Right.
doesn't always happen because we're so self-critical of ourselves, and I tend to nitpick, and there's always stuff to work on. But even though I'm sure there's things we could improve, like I didn't ever get to a point where it's like I don't even want to release this anymore.
Yeah.
And sometimes that does happen, but this time it was more of like, wow, I think we really put together something solid that feels like me. So weirdly enough, with this one, not so much. Maybe the sped up version. I don't know if I'd ever want to hear that again.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so then this, I guess, what are we? What month are we? We're friggin' November here. So in the last
It's your
couple
birthday
months, the last couple months, have you been able to do do you do a lot of like live performing out there, or is it just kind of like every once a month, or how frequently do you get to play on stage?
Yeah, lately it's been less. I've been trying to work on writing and kind of all the processes that go into that. So I've been taking a bit of time off from performing. So it's kind of been more like, once or twice a month at this point. But I'm hoping that next summer that there's going to be more of a focus for me on that because I love it. Every time I do it, I don't have a lot of time to book shows these days just with everything else I'm doing, but I just can't wait to get back to it because every time I get up there, it's just so fun, and it makes you hear your songs in a different way, and you get feedback from people that maybe haven't heard you before and
Right.
all of that. So I love it, just not as much these days because I'm trying to put together some more songs. Recording this last one just got me so excited because I feel like I found such a wonderful team of people that I'm working with that I just really want to get back in there and do it again. So hopefully soon.
Excellent.
Cool.
Excellent. How long has it been since the last time you got to perform live?
I performed just a couple weeks ago. What day was that? It was a couple weeks ago, just in Edmonton. I got to open for Kyle Church, who's awesome. I guess he's from Medicine Hat, I think. And yeah, that was a super fun show.
Okay, right on. Was the venue good? Was there a lot of people in the crowd?
It was, yeah, it's a great venue. It's kind of that weird time of year where it was a little bit quieter, but it was a really nice, like, little intimate show. It's funny how that works. Like, sometimes, people always think you want all the people there. And of course, I would love to have lots of people there, but sometimes those smaller shows end up just feeling more, I don't know, connected. And that's kind of what it was like at this show. It was really nice.
Excellent. Right on.
I have that too. It depends on the artist too, but when we go to the Cap, and in some cases the place is packed, great for that Radiant show, for example.
Yeah.
That was great having a full house. But then you have other shows that are,
Like have 100 people there, maybe.
yeah, or even 50.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to matter because, the artist seems to, like you said, connect more with the audience that way.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah,
No, I
that's my
agree.
take.
Like, as an audience member too, like, a lot of my favorite shows are, catching an artist who's maybe on tour for the first time in Canada or something, going to those small venues and like really getting to just even see them play acoustic or something too. It's just such a fun experience. You feel like you're just right there in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed.
Do you see a lot of shows yourself?
I try to, yeah. I feel like what is the last show I've even seen? Maybe not recently, but I'm super excited. There's a show coming up at the end of the month with William Prince that I'm excited to see. He's awesome. You should check him out. He plays all the folk fests usually, and
Okay.
he's just got this beautiful, relaxing, calming voice.
Right. So what's is that like your genre, your go-to genre? Like when you're listening to music,
Genre.
what kind? Yeah, I know, right? What kind of music are you listening to when you are?
I listen to a lot of like I guess people that inspire me are like if you've heard of Luca Fogale, I really like Matthew V as well. I love Phoebe Bridgers, Donovan Woods, Justin Nizuka. Like I like a lot of the more folksy, but also like that pop element. Have you heard much Luca Fogale?
I have not.
Okay,
Have you
so
heard of any of those names that you just mentioned?
The Phoebe someone or
Bridgers?
other,
Yeah,
maybe.
okay.
Yeah.
yeah. Phoebe something or other. Phoebe Bridgers, yeah, she's awesome. And Liza Ann, which I don't know, she's out of Nashville and really cool, doing some pretty fun things. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely would gravitate towards the like more calming kind of thought-provoking music. Like for
Right.
me, music has always just been where I go when my brain's going in like 20 different directions and when I need to just sit and be still. And
Yeah.
I've never really found anything as powerful as music for that. And it's just something that's, yeah, always been there for me. And so I think that I'm drawn towards that because of that. Like, it also just makes me want to, it would be amazing if I could make music that would be that for other people. So I've always just been really into that.
You're doing it for him
I
already.
was just gonna say that you currently are doing it. You did do that for me, like literally. So I thank you for that, and know that
Thank you.
if that's one of your goals, you can definitely check that box because you're currently doing it. So congratulations.
Even
on
if
that.
it's just with
Thank
Joel.
you.
even if it is just for me, I'm kind of a big deal, don't you know? So.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things like I've been told actually. I was at a songwriting circle, which was awesome to just kind of be able to like you go in, you play a song you're working on, and you can get feedback from everybody who's working on their own songs too.
Right.
So it's like this really cool collaborative process. And I remember when I played, I don't know if you guys listened to my song "Won't Go Away." So that song I wrote about anxiety and depression and struggling with those kind of mental health challenges. And I think that many of us will go through those at some point in our life. And I struggle with that. And there's been times in my life where I've been really angry or frustrated that I'm feeling that way and that I just can't seem to, you just want to shake it. And we talk a lot about overcoming things. And I started to kind of break that down a little bit into like, you know what, like, just because this is hard right now, it's temporary, and I'm going to keep going through different things like this, and we're not going to just resolve everything all the time, but working through it makes us stronger, and it kind of builds on to who we are, and we learn and we grow so much from that. And so I've kind of written this song, Won't Go Away, about that, about just how that, it might never go away, but it's going to make us stronger and more ourselves. And so it became a bit of an anthem for me, and it's a little more up-tempo, even though the lyrics are, I guess some might think they're sad. So for example, at this songwriting circle, this lady, I finished my last strum, and I just kind of sat there for a minute, and, people clapped and were like, wow, that was great. And this lady looks me dead in the eyes and says, wow, that was really sad. Are you okay?
Right. Mission accomplished.
I laughed. Yeah, I maybe. I don't know. It was weird. It was just such a funny reaction because all I could think was like, what are we all doing here? Like we're writing about our feelings, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. Didn't Donnie Pirano do that to Josh? What's his last name again? Stump?
Stump, yeah.
When he was like, didn't he sing a song to like Donnie? And Donnie was like, dude, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like,
you need to see someone?
That song's pretty intense, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you that happens more often than not.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's truth. It is you that you're putting down on paper and into music, right? Like it's what you're going through. You're physically going through that. Why wouldn't you be honest about it?
But it's also cool that that person picked up on that, because you might write that song to shake it off and you might still live with it, Even though you wrote the song about it, doesn't mean it's over.
Gone. Yeah, like you said, it might not heal everything right away, but
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and that's kind of it. And that kind of made me reflect, because since I've played it at shows and stuff, and I have had a couple of people give me feedback of like, wow, I really connected with that, and like, I'm going through something right now, or I went through something in the past and I feel stronger, or something along those lines. And it just made me realize like we're all on these different journeys, and maybe that lady hasn't been through things, and that is wonderful if that is the case, or perhaps it's just not something that, maybe it didn't reach her in that way. And that's kind of the beauty of music. It's going to hit people in different ways. So
that's right.
I don't know.
Agreed.
Yep.
Sorry for the interruption, you guys. I just wanted to tell you guys about Muse Canada. They're a new arts and entertainment media connection and support network. Skip the algorithms of social media and connect with other entertainment professionals across Canada. Sign up today for $5 a month, or use the promo code FunkyMoose2021 for 10% off. That is FUNKYMOOSE2021 for 10% off. Back to the show. You mentioned the piano. So is that, I'm going to just take a guess out there, that you can play the guitar and piano. Is that right?
Yeah, I can play both. I went to school for voice. So voice is kind of like my more trained instrument. But yeah, I love playing piano and guitar. Guitar is a little more portable, so I usually play that at shows.
Out of those those three instruments, which one did you start playing first?
That would be piano, I guess. My mom put me in lessons when I was 6, and I took these lessons with this really nice guy who, I don't know what method it was. I was too young to like remember, what type of training it was, but we did these really weird workbooks that were like, I guess they were just really kiddie, and it was like, let's go to the zoo. And I just remember he would teach me the notes and tell me like, to play do, re, mi, which is like the solfege scale, which at the time I genuinely, like, I really wanted to learn and do well at this. And I remember thinking that he had made up a different way of naming the notes because he didn't think I could handle like the C, D, E, F, G. I thought he made up this whole new method. So I was so mad the whole time and didn't even realize. But yeah, I was very committed though already at 6, and then kept taking lessons and got moved to an instructor that did the note names on like C, D, E, and was much happier.
Right.
He did it properly, you mean?
At least to me, in my mind at the time.
So where did you learn, how and where did you learn how to like write your own music? Did you just start by like writing poetry and then convert that into music, or can you walk me through that a little bit?
Yeah, like I've always loved writing. I love English, I love language, and so I think what started was I would always collect these like, I don't know, dollar store notebooks, and I used to write stories actually, really funny like fictional I don't know, stories about people, and I think I've just always been fascinated by like relationships and connections and just like how we all interact with one another. So I think that's where it came from. And so I'd write these stories, and I had committed to writing like a book when I was, I think, I don't know, 11 or 12, and I wrote a whole chapter. And then I think I just got bored with it, and I loved music so much that I was like, well, if I could write that, like maybe I could start writing more about this. And I did a lot of journaling. So it wasn't so much that it went from like poetry, because that to me just always felt really serious for some reason. So I went
Right.
kind of more from storytelling to trying to write songs. And yeah, I don't know, I just remember sitting down in my room turning on the fan because I didn't want my family to hear. I didn't want them to know I was writing, and I was just very like private about it all. And that's how I ended up writing the first song, which I think it took me about a month to get. I started with the chorus, and then yeah, somehow just built up the verses, but just use like whatever felt like it sounded nice together. Like I knew basics of rhyme schemes, but I didn't really know a lot about the construction or the chord progressions. Like even after school, I still don't base my writing off of chord progressions that are supposed to be used or anything, but just kind of experimenting and a lot of finger picking actually. That was kind of where I started with guitar lessons. My mom was really adamant. I wanted to learn Green Day. Surprisingly enough. And my mom was like telling my teacher she needs to learn how to read the notes, and I want her to learn how to like finger pick and do more complicated stuff before she starts just strumming these, four chord songs. So we did a lot of finger picking and some like Irish, Celtic, all sorts of things. And then I think I've just loved finger picking since then. So a lot of my songwriting, like I'll sit down and I'll just finger pick a pattern until something kind of comes to me. So.
Nice. I'm curious, what would have been that first Green Day song?
I was just about to say something like that. Yeah.
Do you have any guesses?
Dookie.
No, I
Oh,
would
not-
I would go with what is that one that he does acoustically?
Yep, you're onto something here.
Um, time of your life.
Yeah, that's
right?
the one.
Oh, bang.
Nailed it.
I was gonna go with When September Ends, but it's also
Yeah. It was Dookie. Nice. I find that funny too, how that music teacher was like, no, you got to learn the notes and everything first. And I understand that point of view, but I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, like, if you want to play, just play it.
Every teacher is different, and every kid or every student is different. So for some people that works. Others, it doesn't.
And honestly, it wasn't even my music teacher. I think he would have been happy to just go, just straight into chords. It was my mom. I don't even know if she told me that she was going to make this happen, but she went to him and said, no, I want her to learn. And I don't know why, but I'm so glad she did because it impacts how I write now and how I like music. So yeah, my mom, who knew?
Right.
So you mentioned you have an older sister, and your mom kind of knew what she was talking about, I guess, if she told your teacher not to teach you Green Day. Are they musical?
My family's pretty musical. Like, what really inspired me as a young kid was my brother. He played drums all through high school, and I was, I was quite a bit younger when he was in high school. So I was like 5, and I was just watching him play these concerts or these like band rehearsal things, and I just thought it was so cool. And I've always looked up to him a lot. And he actually did the music program here in Edmonton as well. And so that's kind of why I ended up moving here and pursuing the program. And so him and his wife are very musical, and that kind of led me to it. My mom loves music. She loved to sing a lot when she was younger. She tells me about that a bit, but I think it was my brother mainly that kind of started that passion for me.
Right on. Have you ever discussed with him to like maybe
working with your brother?
Yeah, like we've always been kind of at different stages and different places, and with living in the same city, things just get so busy. So I was in school and he was working, and there's all these just moving parts. But I'd love to, like, I would absolutely love to sit down with him and work on some music together. He did. I remember he picked out my first guitar. My mom had asked him to pick one out for my Christmas present. And so when I did get it, he was on a trip home from, I can't remember where he was living at the time, going to school or whatever in a different city. And so he'd come home, brought that, and he tried to teach me so fast how to play guitar. And unfortunately, it takes so long to get those blisters and everything, or not blisters, hopefully, the calluses. um, maybe if you try to learn the guitar in a day. But yeah, so he tried to teach me a bit and got me started with it. So, I mean, here and there we have a little bit, but always room for more.
I also want to ask you, this is probably a silly question too, but I want to ask you about your stage name of Candor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I was meaning on, like, I wanted to, like, Google it and
What
find
do you mean
out.
stage name?
Yeah. Because her name is Of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask, like, what's the meaning of it? Because I didn't look it up or anything, but I'm very curious to know what the significance or meaning is.
Well, with my music, I've been working towards, just trying to always be open and honest. And I feel like in conversation, I feel comfortable doing that. And I get more and more sure of, who I am and what I stand for as time goes on. But with music, I find it's kind of one of those things, I guess, kind of comes back to the conversation we were having earlier, just about those anxieties that creep in about like what you should be doing and like how you should be doing things. And so with my music, I've been pushing myself to just try to be more honest and more direct and more sincere in my writing. And I think it is there. And I think that in the work that I've done so far, that comes across in some way, but just not being afraid to say how you really feel. And there's lots of artists that are just really confident in what they put out to the world, not afraid to take a stand and to say things. So I've always wanted kind of to remind myself to do that. And, as a woman who maybe sometimes, feels like, oh, I shouldn't say that or that kind of thing. It's just kind of been a call to action almost for myself to push myself to be more open, more authentic, and more honest in my writing and how I present myself, if that makes sense.
I believe it does.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's smart.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole time I was like, why? Because sure, if you're in a band, the band has a name. But if you're a solo artist, why aren't you using your own name? But this makes sense.
And that's a fair question. And I think I don't know, I kept coming across the word candor like over and over and over again for a period of time when I was on the fence about changing from being, my real name to coming up with more of a stage name. And at the time, I just kept seeing all of these things about, like, I don't know, just that authenticity and that honesty. And at the same time, there was also another artist under my legal name that was releasing things that kept being amalgamated with my music on Spotify, Apple Music, all those things.
Yep.
So every time either one of us would release something, all of our stuff would get put together. And that artist I do not align with, and we're not the same person, obviously, but also just we're not the same kind of I don't know, not the same genre or maybe even some of the same beliefs.
Right.
So I just wanted to kind of keep it really separate. And and since then it's just been really comfortable. Like people have asked that before, just of as one person, it's not common to see that, but it kind of just, I don't know, has given me more of I don't know, it just feels like a better platform for me and more authentic in a way, even though that probably sounds weird. But
no, I think there's definitely some merit behind that. And I being an artist and musician out there, like you're a business, right?
Yeah,
so
that's exactly what I was gonna...
separating the business and the actual person, I don't think is a bad thing at all. To me, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
We're all in agreement on that. So no, thank you for clearing that up. Now I know.
Now you can sleep.
Now I can sleep at night. I do want to see, I think we're kind of running out of time here, but I wanted to ask you, we did get to play one of your songs. Would you be okay with us ending the episode with another one of them. Are you all right with that?
Absolutely. I would love that.
Do you have any? Is there anyone in particular that you want us to close the show with?
Like a live video, maybe.
Yeah, you could do that. That's totally up to you. I mean, if you guys have a favorite, that's, I think, would be the coolest. I would love to know. But if you don't, I guess we've already played Nothing to Hide. So something a little bit different than that, that's still recent, I guess Won't Go Away would be great.
Kate, I was going to say, I'm going onto your Spotify playlist here. Something to Hold On To was, I think, one of my favorites out of the Spotify
That's
ones.
That's great. That works for me. I'd rather it be something that you guys connected with more. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, as of right now, we are undecided on which one we're going to play.
But we're going to play a song.
It's going to be one of those two. So for those of you watching or listening...
I'm just going to cut a completely different song.
Yeah, right. So please enjoy this song from Of Candor. And I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Yep, thanks for hanging out with us.
I want you to know that the door is always open. If you've got any shows to plug or anything coming up, please hit us up, and we'd be more than happy to have you back and help promote that. As well as for the listeners and viewers, check out the links in the description to Of Candor, and hit her up, subscribe to her channels, follow her on there. We'll have everything available for you right there. So thank you again. Please stay on the line while we play this song while we play this song for the listeners. I truly appreciate the shit out of you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I'm Of Candor, and this is my song, Hurt in Many Places.
Set off down the road, settle down which way you're gonna go. Set upon some land, but what's it take to make you take a stand? You got every reason to leave behind these tangled weaves and tales of who you once were, who you might be. I've got a heart in many places, but this I know rings true. When all the distant dreams in this song seems were all they ever knew. But could you settle for the distance when everything you'll find is intertwined? Who you trying to leave? Who you trying to beat to the punches? Who you gonna need? Who you gonna lean on in the trenches? I've got a heart in many places, but this I know rings true. When all the distant dreams in this song seems were all they ever knew. But could you settle for the distance when everything you'll find is intertwined? All these stepping stones are making my feet bleed. Everywhere I go reminds me of where I've been. All these stepping stones